Farmer Fred, Storm Rescue. There's a storm brewing, so Farmer Fred leads the animals to safety in the barn. But Harry Horse discovers someone is missing. Never fear, Farmer Fred has an idea. Written by Gabby Goldsack, illustrated by Steve Smallman. Look out for other titles in the Farmer Fred range. Paragon, Queen Street House, 4 Queen Street, Bath, BA1 1HE, UK. Storm Rescue, Farmer Fred, Steve Smallman. Storm Rescue, illustrated by Steve Smallman. Illustrated by means this person, Mr. Steve Smallman, has made the pictures to explain this story. Wonderful. Let's read on. One windy day, there was a big black cloud over the farm. Blustering beanstalks, cried Farmer Fred. It looks like there's a storm coming. I'd better get the washing in, called his wife Jenny, before it all blows away. Woof, barked Patch, the sheepdog, trying to catch the blow-away washing. Nay, said Harry Horse, trying to help, but he accidentally stood on the clean washing. Oops! There was a flash of lightning and a loud rumble of thunder. The cows began to moo. The sheep began to baa. Come on, Patch, cried Farmer Fred. We will get the animals into the barn. Woof, woof, barked Patch, as he and Farmer Fred ran up to the field. Nay, said Harry Horse, trying to help. He plodded after them, but by the time he had reached the gate, Farmer Fred and Patch were herding the cows and sheep towards the barn, and Harry was in the way. Oops! Oh dear, sighed Harry Horse. I am too slow for herding cows and sheep. Perhaps I can help the ducks and hens. Harry Horse stamped his hoof and nudged the hens towards the barn. Cluck, cluck, cried the hens, flapping their wings in alarm. Quack, quack, cried the ducks in a flurry of feathers. Oh dear, sighed Harry Horse. I am too big. I am just a useless old horse. Oh. Soon the animals were safe in the barn, but as the thunder and lightning crashed and crackled outside, the smaller animals couldn't help feeling scared. I will sing a song, said Farmer Fred. That should calm everyone down. And he burst into a song. I'm Farmer Fred, I have a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on that farm I have some. All the animals joined in with a cluck cluck here and a moo moo there. But just as the sheep were adding their baa-baas, Harry Horse noticed that Polly Pig and the piglets were missing. Oh my God! Harry Horse neighed and stamped his foot. It's not your turn, Harry, laughed Farmer Fred, carrying on with his song. And on my farm I have some pigs, E-I-E-I-O, with a... Farmer Fred waited for Polly Pig to join in with her oink oink, but all he could hear was Harry Horse stamping his hoof. Suddenly, Patch realized what Harry was trying to tell them. he tugged on Farmer Fred's sleeve. Farmer Fred looked around. Whizzing hurricanes, he cried. Polly and her piglets are missing. Oh no! Farmer Fred and the animals raced to Hog Hollow. The storm was over, but it had blown a big tree right across the entrance of Polly Pig's sty. Oink oink! Cried Polly Pig from inside the pig sty. Sizzling sausages! Cried Farmer Fred. Polly and her piglets are trapped. We will have to pull that tree out of the way. The tractor won't fit through the gate. But never fear, I have an idea, said Farmer Fred with a smile. Never fear, I have an idea. Yahoo! Farmer Fred disappeared into his workshop. The animals all gathered around, listening to the banging and tapping coming from inside the workshop. Oh dear, neighed Harry Horse. What can Farmer Fred be doing? Just then the door to the workshop swung open and out came Farmer Fred. This, said Farmer Fred, is a new mobile motorized hand saw. This will cut through the tree in no time. Farmer Fred wheeled the mobile motorized hand saw to Hog Hollow. He flipped a switch and it roared into life. Take cover! Cried Shirley Sheep as it began to rattle and shake. The handsaw whirred faster and faster. Then, with a loud ping, the elastic broke. Never mind, smiled Farmer Fred. We will try to lift the tree out of the way. Now. Farmer Fred and the animals pushed. Heave! Cried Fred, and they pulled. Ho! Cried Fred, but it was no good. The tree wouldn't budge. Don't worry, Polly, said Farmer Fred. I will think of something. We are just not strong enough to shift that tree, clucked Hetty Hen to the other animals. We might not be, said Conny Cow, but I know someone who is. And she looked at Harry Horse. I don't know, said Harry. I am just a useless old horse. Nonsense, said Shirley Sheep. Patch, you must tell Farmer Fred. Farmer Fred went to the barn to find a strong rope. Woof, woof, barked Patch, running in. What's up? Asked Farmer Fred, scratching his head. I haven't got time to play skipping. I have got Polly and her piglets to save. Woof, woof, barked Patch, pulling Harry's old harness off its hook. Hold on, I have had an idea, cried Fred. I know who can help me drag that tree out of the way. Farmer Fred quickly harnessed Harry Horse. Then he attached some rope to the harness and tied the ends of the rope around the tree. Heave! Cried Farmer Fred. Harry dug his hooves and heaved. The tree didn't budge. Ho! Cried Farmer Fred, and Harry pulled. The tree began to slide away from the entrance to the pigsty. At last, Polly and her piglets were free. Thank God. Hooray for Harry Horse, cried all the animals. What's been going on out here? Asked Jenny, hanging out the washing once more. Polly and her piglets were trapped in the sty, but Harry's saved the day, smiled Farmer Fred. I have always said what a useful horse he is." Jenny looked at Patch and smiled. Harry neighed with pleasure. After all, he was a very useful horse. Wonderful. The end.